Hello guys, today I am going to talk about what lived before the dinosaurs and also the making of the earth. Now, you know that when the solar system was formed, there was the sun and lots of dust circling around it, like you can see in this picture. Now, this dust also collided together and grew that. Now, don't think this was a gentle process like the dust came together and was glued together, not like that. They bumped together and many of the dust and rock particles crumbled in this process. But still some of the dust and rock particles fused together to slowly form the planets. The Earth was formed 4.54 billion years ago, approximately. Now, at first, when the Earth had been fully formed, the Moon was still not there. At that time, the Earth was constantly showered by meteors and was a lot like a boiling piece of vegetable. Don't think you can eat it. Anyway, then a small planet which was much smaller than the Earth came and collided with the Earth. Now this planet was much bigger than the asteroid which collided with Earth 65 million years ago, and the asteroid only caused so much havoc. So now this planet, which was much more bigger, caused a lot more damage. It in fact ripped apart some of the Earth. Then the Earth had become a lot like a burger in which you have already taken a bite. Now that piece of the Earth which had been thrown apart, some of it became the Moon, and Earth's gravity pulled the rest together. And now at that time the Moon was very close to the Earth. At that time, if you ever went to there, now if you went there, then you would be boiled in maybe 15 milliseconds. Then you could see the Moon would be much bigger than today's Moon, because at that time the Moon had still not drifted away from the Earth. It was still close by. Now let's go to the next slide. Yes, now if you see these writings, I sometimes get stage fright, so I write these so that I can remember my points. Now, as I told about the colliding, shut up brother. As I told you about the colliding, the planet was this much big to the comparison of the Earth. So, it quite easily took off the chunk, and at that time, if anybody would have gone and taken a picture, it would have been like this. Rocks colliding far away, meteors showering the Earth, and the Earth would look a lot like this. Now, the history of the Earth concerns the development of planet Earth from its formation to the present day. Just like I said, Earth is 4.54 billion years old. Now we are living in a very young Earth. At that time, the Earth was very, very young. The core's temperature and the crust's temperature was almost the same. Although now the core is very hot, but the crust has cooled down fully cooled down. But still, there are volcanoes from which magma comes out. Now this Earth is a lot hotter than that magma. Now, as I said, 4.54 billion years. Now, you do the math, I cannot do it. The age of the Earth is approximately 1/3 of the age of the universe. Now, as the Earth slowly cooled down, the small rocks formed, but still at this time there was no water and nothing. I'll come to the DNA part. Now, slowly it was cooling, and now you know that hydrogen and oxygen bond together to form water. Now, then many meteors collided with the Earth, and I'm talking of such a period. Earth was hot but not boiling. Now, many meteors came from the sky and collided with that. Now, these meteors were full of hydrogen and carbon. Now, when these meteors entered the Earth's atmosphere at full speed, the carbon bonded with many things. I do not know what it bonded with, but all I know is that these hydrogens bonded with minuscule amounts of oxygen, and then they formed small amounts of water. Now, after the Earth cooled a lot, so that the water was not boiling, then super simple and small organisms, and by small I seriously mean small, by even an electron microscope it would have been tough to see them. And they were super simple. They were just bundles of DNA and RNA. Now the full form of DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. A tongue twister name, whatever. Now as I have written here, around 3.7 million, sorry, this is a mistake, grammar mistake. Around 3.7 billion years ago, some super simple and small organisms which contain RNA and DNA started to appear. Now, you see, now, can anybody guess that why do these, stop it brother, why do these adenines and thymines and guanines and, what, I forgot this name, whatever. Why do these look like alike, like the adenine and thymine seem like as if you could fit both of them together? Now see, if you look at this double helix picture, stop jumping on me. You will see that the adenine and thymine, the yellow and the green, are bonding together, and the guanine and the whatever this is C, I think that is C, shut up. Both of them bond together. Are you going to shut up? Dad, get him out of here. Now, after these DNAs become a bit more organized, then came prokaryotic. Actually, prokaryotic bacteria came much before eukaryotic bacteria. Now, this is prokaryotic. Where did that cursor go? Now, this is prokaryotic bacteria and this is eukaryotic bacteria. Prokaryotic actually means prokaryotic actually means without any nut or kernel. It is a Greek word actually. Now, you know that the nucleus of a cell stays in an extra membrane inside the cell. Now, these did not have that membrane. The DNA was just bundled up and kept on bouncing inside the cell. But this eukaryotic bacteria, which came much after prokaryotic bacteria, had a nucleus or kernel. That's why they were called eukaryotic or nut or kernel bacteria. They were not so glowing, so don't think you will use them in bulbs. Now, at the time, these eukaryotic, even when the prokaryotic bacteria were there, there were small traces of oxygen. But by the time the eukaryotic bacteria came, now the prokaryotic bacteria could not live in oxygen. So when the eukaryotic bacteria came, they did photosynthesis and made lots of oxygen. So now there was an oxygen mass extinction, and almost all the prokaryotic bacteria got wiped out because oxygen was poisonous to them. Now this is nothing to laugh about because prokaryotic bacteria did a huge good job by surviving in that amount of havoc. Like all the time meteorites were raining them because Earth's atmosphere was not that thick and could not stop them. Now these are simple strands of eukaryotic bacteria. Now this is actually a modern type of bacteria. It still occurs now. Now see, it is so simple. You can actually count the number of eukaryotic cells. Like see, in this one there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11. No need to count it. Anyway, now these occurred in the Precambrian period. Now Cambrian is the first period. Now Precambrian and Cambrian are, you can tell them in the same box only. So now these things appeared in the Precambrian period. Now these were called mosquitoes. These were stromatolites. Now some eukaryotic cells are floating without any other cells, but still, see, almost all of the cells were together. So these were not so simple. These were not so simple as the eukaryotic bacteria. Now from this time the fossil record is very poor because these things did not have any bones. They only left small impressions on the rocks of the earth of the Precambrian period actually. Now during the Cambrian. Yes, and I forgot one thing. Yes, let's come back to this Precambrian period. In this time, amoeba, bacteria and protozoas, these things evolved. Now amoebas were not so much more simple than these things. They were only a bit more complex than these. They had a single cell, they had a nucleus or kernel, eukaryotic bacteria only, but they had more, they were more like today's cells, not like these stromatolites. And you know what are protozoas? Yes, let's come back to this Cambrian explosion. During this Cambrian explosion, there was nothing like an explosion. This is actually an explosion of diversity. In this time, there was a huge explosion in number of the evolved animals. Now, all of these pictures are of water animals. Now, this is a type of animal from the Cambrian period. I forgot its name actually. It was just this big compared to this animal, and this was a descendant of that animal. Now, seriously, at that time the animals looked so weird, and this is a type of simple fish. It was still an invertebrate, but it was a fish. It was jawless also, and this is one of the most, complex things of the Cambrian period. Scientists have not still figured which way was up and which was down. Like, some scientists argue that these were the spines on its back, and some argue that these were its legs. The argument still goes on, but scientists say that they'll figure it out, maybe in 100 years or so. Now, this is the Cambrian scenery. Now, if you ever took a time machine right to the Cambrian period, this is what you would see. Now, as I said, this thing, yes, I have written the name. Now, what is this? It's Lagania. Now, it is just this big only. This is one of the descendants of Lagania. And this is even more earlier descendant. And you cannot see the other ones. Oof, why am I going to that one? Anyway, now, at that time there were small sea sponges and jellyfish. Eldonia. This is also a type of jellyfish. Now, remember, these all are arthropods. Arthropods are animals with jointed legs. You cannot see any legs in this, but still, it had the features of an arthropod. Now, these are trilobites, one of the most common things of the Cambrian period, Cambrian and Silurian period. These grew about to the size of your palm. Now, some could grow even bigger. They shed their exoskeletons like today's insects do. These are tuzoids. I do not know much about them, but I know that they are a lot like trilobites. But unlike trilobites, they have a tail and they can swim. Now, trilobites and these. Now, trilobites were cannibals, but these were not cannibals. Both of them ate dead and rotting material. This was a predator. This Lagania ate trilobites, tuzoids, and lincolia. These lincolia, squillas, were a lot like tuzoids. They were also arthropods. Now, I've written this myself only because I sometimes forget these things. This is a fossil plant from the Cambrian period. It was discovered from the coal deposits of France. This thing's name is Spenophyllum. Now, this plant had leaves. Now, yes, this is a really important trait. In the Cambrian period, plants with leaves had started to appear. And you see, these leaves had a certain whorled appearance. The phyllotaxy of these Spenophyllum was whorled. Now, let's see another plant. Now, these were ribons. These came in the middle of the Precambrian and Cambrian period. Now, ribons were carried onto the land by waves. And you see these things, these are a bit tree leaves. I made it in the paint. It's not so good. Anyway, if these came to land, and these slowly as they saw that they were coming onto land and they had to leave there, otherwise any ribon which was carried onto land would die. That's why they slowly evolved into plants which could grow on land. In this way, these ribons helped in the growth of land plants. Actually, this thing should be before this plant. Now, let's go to the Silurian period. Now, this is a jawless fish. Its name is Hemicyclaspis. Tongue twister name again. This was one of the jawless fishes. It was a bony fish. This is very important. because these fish has bones, unlike here this cursor keeps on disappearing. This fish which just did not have a this is a sketch drawing. I took it from Google. If you want, you could search for Hemisclaspis if I missed anything. These were about a foot or two long. These did not have jaws, so they had to eat rotting dead material. They had no jaws. They had just a small opening for a mouth, and they sucked in food material. And their eyes were located on top of their body so that they could see any predators appearing. They had a dorsal fin. Now the dorsal fin is over here. Actually, it should be over here. And in jawfish, it will come over here. But for now, in the Silurian period, they were here. Now, the evolving of fish started from the Cambrian period, but due to the Cambrian mass extinction, all of these things, no, not these things got extinct. Yes, not sponges in Eldonia, and also trilobites survived, but they got wiped out in a later extinction. Yes, so now let's come here. Now, during the Silurian period, during the end of the Silurian period actually, these Hemisclaspis and some other fish started to evolve jaws, primitive jaws actually. Let's go to the next page. Now this is a Devonian fish. This is not at all a primitive jawed fish, but still it appeared during the mid-Devonian period. It had a distinct jaw and it was still armored. Now these fish had not evolved any scales. These look like scales but are actually crocodile-like armors. Its head was plated with armor. If I have a picture of a Dunkleolistis. It is also a Devonian fish. It is actually one of the most famous Devonian fishes. I'll speak about it later. Now, you see these spines, these are to protect itself, but still, these were not enough for predators like Dunkleolistis. During this Devonian period, sharks appeared, but don't think these were normal sharks like great white shark. Now, these, if you see a picture, I have a picture. They look a lot like aliens actually. I forgot this fish's name, but I downloaded this picture because see, in this the dorsal fin is very prominent, and this is a primitive type of fish which, although did not have armor and also did not have any scales, but still it did not have armor, so it was a lot close to growing scales. Only its head bones were very strong, but there was no external armor. It did not have any teeth. It snapped at small fish and sliced them into two. But still, it was not a scaled fish because its fins were armored. Now, this is a Dunkleolistis. Now, the name is written here. This was discovered by Pritam 6. Now, you see, I told you the picture of a Dunkleolistis. I have downloaded one. Now, look at this. You can see the armor plating. Now, this was serious armor, and the teeth. They do not grow any teeth like us. Their teeth were a lot like sharpened knives which have been stuck on their mouths. They had no separate teeth. There was only one plate, and once they closed, no escape. They hunted sharks. Yes, seriously, they hunted sharks, and they had seriously good eyesight. So don't think you'll have to buy them a spec. Now this is Hybodus. Just as I told you, this is a shark of the Devonian period. Don't gasp. It is not an alien, and it is not a fantastic creature. This is seriously its dorsal fin. Paleontologists have still not figured out what the heck were the spines on its dorsal fin for. It had spines on its anal fin like a dogfish, but still, all the other features were a lot like a shark. Now there are also many other types of sharks. One shark there were teeth on its head. Yes, seriously, teeth on its head. And there was another type of shark with jaw curled outwards, and it was a lot like a mastodon's tooth. Now I'm coming to the Carboniferous period. Now, can anybody guess why this period is called Carb? Second to guess. If anybody has guessed, I'll think that she has guessed right. She or he has guessed right. Now, the Carboniferous period is seriously named after the carbon found in it. ever take a look at a paleontologic site and ask for where the Carboniferous period is, you will see that it is full of coal, because at this time the forests were like this. The trees had evolved into these type of swamp trees, but just as these trees fell and died, these decomposed and formed the coal forests. Now slowly the oxygen level decreased. Now due to this, all of these trees died, fell in swamps, and rotted and formed that huge coal layer. During this time, the coal measures were huge. Now let's see what I have written here. The Carboniferous period is famed for having the highest atmospheric oxygen levels the Earth has ever experienced, just as I told you. But remember, these oxygen levels fell and led to a mass extinction. It also housed the first reptiles. Now, just as I said, plants grew and died at such a great rate, they eventually became coal. The period is originally called the Coal Measures after its population of coal-bearing rocks. Now, some of the most important sites of the Carboniferous period are: in North America, the Carboniferous is divided into two epochs, the Mississippian and Pennsylvanian. I wrote this for this reason only. I would forget the pronunciation. Now, though the Carboniferous started off warm, hence its lush coal forest, now this is why all of those trees died. The temperature began to drop and the polar regions were plunged into an ice age that lasted millions of years. Yes, and this is not the first ice age. During the formation of Earth, during the cooling of the Earth actually, there was a mass ice age. In this time, this is also known as snowball Earth. Because if you look at Earth at that time, it would seriously look like a gigantic snowball. But please tell you, do not throw it at anybody. Now this is one of the Carboniferous plants fossil. Now see, these had pine needles. Seriously, pine needles. They had evolved those at that time. Now let's see what I've written here. How the heck did it go there? Though many spectacular plant forms dominated the Carboniferous, most of them disappeared before the end of because of the ice age, just as I told you. Now this tree is Neurocteris. It is an important plant because you see the cycad-like seed ferns. These were some of the first pine-like trees. One of the most important things of the Carboniferous period are its insects, and the guy near a huge dragonfly, and by huge I seriously mean it. This is a 6 foot tall man. And this is how big a Majumdar would be. And I'd advise the man not to try to hit it with a fly swatter. Anyway, these animals died out due to the sudden drop of oxygen levels. Because all of those great swamp trees died, suddenly the oxygen levels dropped, and these insects depend on the oxygen levels to keep their huge body supplied with oxygen. So they slowly died out. But the smaller dragonflies evolved into today's emperor dragonflies and other dragonflies, etc. Now, this has been clay modeled, and I have taken these pictures so that you can see that how big the centipedes and millipedes of that period were. This centipede was about the size of 2.6 to 3.8 meters long. Seriously, meters, not centimeters. It had segments like today's centipedes have. It also had antennas, and I don't know, today's centipedes have a stabbing teeth which give out poison. Now these did not give out poison because these ate plants, not insects. This is a Hygodus. Now these Hygoduses survived to the Carboniferous period. Now I guess you did not think that they became extinct in the Silurian period, because then no sharks would be there. And these are some of the fish fossils. Now see, these fish, I have taken this fossil because see, no armor. Like in the Dunkelastis fossil, you see that how the heck did it get here? You could see the armor pieces and all those, but over here, plain bone, because scales do not get fossilized. Armor does. Now I have nothing more to say about the Hybodas, but I'll say that slowly the Hybodas' fin, you see already that fin has become a little different. It has become a bit taller and it has become thinner. Now slowly this Hybodas' fin will get wiped out and will become the real dorsal fin, but it will take millions of years for that to happen. This is also another type of fish which did not have armor and scales. Now see, it had a distinct dorsal fin and its tail or caudal fin, which one you want to say, was a lot like today's fishes. Now in the next video we will see the Permian period. Now thanks for watching.